There is little point in pretending otherwise. If you think of a gentleman, you think of money. You think of expensive things, of luxury, of the display of wealth. You think of the fellow in a jacket that costs as much as your rent, of the linen shirt that never seems to crease, of the watch worth the price of a car. You think of the restaurant with no prices on the menu, of the wine with an unpronounceable name, of holidays in places you will never go. And in part, you are right. Beautiful things can be expensive. But it is not quite so simple. A gentleman is not a rich man. Not necessarily. And that is the first thing to understand if you wish to stop confusing merchants with aristocrats. Because a coarse person who earns millions of pounds remains coarse. A rich fool remains a fool. Perhaps a fool with a Lamborghini, with a Rolex the size of a saucer, with a villa that looks like a hotel. But a fool nonetheless. Money does not buy elegance. It does not buy taste. It does not buy class. It buys things. And things, without the right man to wear them, to use them, to inhabit them, remain merely things. Often vulgar things. We live in a mercantile age, one that is forgetting that aristocracy is not founded simply upon money. Quite the opposite. True aristocracy has never been a matter of money. It was a matter of values. Of the sword, of honour, of blood shed in battle. It was a matter of political ability within families, of alliances, of marriages planned across generations. It was a matter of education, of knowing how to stand in the world, of speaking languages, of riding well, of conversing properly. Not of how much gold you had in the cellar. Merchants have always existed. They have always made money, always bought and sold, always accumulated. But they remained merchants. They might become extraordinarily wealthy, yet no one mistook them for nobles. A nobleman might be utterly penniless, forced to sell family paintings, to close half the house, to dine on bread and cheese. He remained noble. A merchant might purchase the grandest villa in town, dress in gold, host parties for 100 guests. He remained a merchant. Today we have reversed everything. The only ability that seems to matter is the ability to make money. How much do you earn? How much does what you are wearing cost? Where do you go on holiday? What car do you drive? As though these questions said anything about who you are. They say nothing. They merely state how much you have in the bank. And that has nothing whatsoever to do with being a gentleman. To be true gentlemen, one must distinguish between merchants and aristocrats. The merchant buys what is most expensive because he assumes a high price guarantees quality. The aristocrat recognizes quality even when it is inexpensive. The merchant goes to the most expensive restaurant in town so that he may be seen. The aristocrat goes to the small trattoria he has always known, run by 3 people, where the lady brings you the ragout she has simmered for 4 hours. The merchant buys the Porsche because the Porsche tells the world he can afford a Porsche. The aristocrat, if he can afford a Porsche, may well buy an old Alfa from 72 and have it properly restored by a skilled hand. Not out of thrift. Out of taste. Because, let us be honest, the Porsche is a merchant's car. It is the perfect symbol of this confusion. Is it very expensive? Yes. Is it fast? Yes. Is it recognizable? Yes. And that is precisely why it serves no purpose. Those who buy it do so to be seen, to say, "Look how far I have risen." But those who truly possess class have no need to say it. It is visible. Visible in the way they walk, in the way they speak, in the way they listen. Visible in what they choose, not in how much they pay. And there is something else. Often beautiful things cost little. Indeed, the finest things cost little. A second-hand book bought from a market stall may change your life. A well-made pair of shoes, bought once, lasts 20 years. A simple white cotton shirt, without logos, without branding, costs less than the designer version and looks infinitely better. The gentleman knows where to look. He knows that the tailor round the corner, the one who works alone, who takes your measurements by hand, who cuts the cloth upon his table, will make a suit worth 10 times the branded one. And at half the price. He knows the best wine is not the one with the gilded label from the wine merchant's shop. It is the one the old man in the village keeps in his cellar, made by his own hand, poured without ceremony. He knows true beauty is not purchased in shops. It is found, recognized, chosen. And that is the point. The merchant buys. The aristocrat chooses. The merchant accumulates. The aristocrat preserves. The merchant displays. The aristocrat lives. There is nothing wrong with having money. On the contrary, money is useful. It makes life more comfortable, easier, sometimes more pleasant. But it does not make you a better man. It grants neither class, nor style, nor dignity. Those must be built. Through the choices you make, through the words you speak, through the manner in which you treat others. Through what you choose to be, not what you choose to buy. The poor gentleman exists. He most certainly exists. He may have nothing in his pocket, yet he walks upright. He sits at the cafe, orders a coffee, drinks it slowly, pays, gives thanks, and leaves. No haste. No anxiety. No need to display what he does not possess. He has one jacket, but keeps it well. 3 shirts, and presses them. 1 pair of shoes, and polishes them every week. Because respect is not something you wear. You either have it or you do not. And that is the only luxury that matters. Not what you can afford, but what you choose to be. Always. With or without money. With or without a Porsche. For in the end money comes and goes. Merchants buy and sell. But aristocracy, the real kind, the kind that needs no certificates, that is not merely inherited but earned, remains. Even when your pockets are empty. Even when you must choose between paying the rent and buying new shoes. Even when life has you against the wall and you must decide who you wish to be. The gentleman decides. Every day. Every time he chooses. And he never chooses to be a merchant. For the merchant lives to accumulate. The gentleman lives to be. The merchant looks at the price. The gentleman looks at the thing itself. The merchant asks, "How much is it?" The gentleman asks, "Is it well made?" And that is the whole difference in the world. You can recognize a merchant by the way he enters a shop. He studies the labels. He searches for signatures. He wants to know whether the item carries the proper value. But the proper value, for him, is what others recognize. The gentleman looks at the cloth. He touches it. He feels whether it is good. He does not care if it bears a signature. He cares whether it is true. The merchant buys the painting because it is worth money. The gentleman buys the painting because he loves it. The merchant reads the book everyone is reading. The gentleman reads the book no one reads any longer. The merchant goes where there is a crowd. The gentleman goes where there is silence. And there is one thing the merchant will never understand. That beautiful things are not consumed. The merchant buys and throws away. Buys and replaces. Buys in order to possess the newest, the latest, this year's model. The gentleman buys once. And he keeps the thing. He uses it. He repairs it when it breaks. He makes it last. Because he knows that well-made things do not go out of fashion. A solid wooden table made 100 years ago is as beautiful today as it was then. A well-cut jacket from the 1950s still looks right now. A mechanical watch that has worked for 3 generations is worth more than 1,000 smartwatches. Because it has a story. Because it endures. The merchant does not understand continuity. He lives in the instant. In today's profit. In tomorrow's purchase. The gentleman thinks in generations. He knows that what he chooses today may remain when he is no longer here. And that is responsibility. Not towards things. Towards himself. That is why money does not matter. Or rather, it matters, but it is not everything. You may have a great deal and remain a merchant. You may have very little and be a gentleman. You may also have much and be a gentleman, of course. But only if you understand that money is a means, not an end. It is the brush, not the painting. It is the pen, not the book. The gentleman uses money to live better, not to appear better. And that is the entire difference. So the next time you see someone with a Porsche, with a Rolex, with a designer jacket, look carefully. Ask yourself whether he is a gentleman or a merchant. And remember, the answer is not in what he wears. It is in how he wears it.